We've got the game coming up on Saturday, and there's going to be some recruits in town as well. We'll get to that coming up in a couple of moments. But first, let me start with the discussion about a possible cornerback for the Fighting Irish. Corner's been kind of the cool thing to talk about this week with Lorenzo Styles moving over to corner, at least for now. Cree Thomas is a very interesting corner. What's happening with him?
Well, a couple days ago, I logged a prediction for him to land at Notre Dame. So, always good to talk about these predictions. Although, the how likely they are to happen, especially when this player's just finishing up his sophomore year. These kind of picks are a lot more projections than anything. But hey, still good to talk about. So here's the interesting thing about Cree Thomas. Someone who's not a household name just yet, doesn't have a ton of big. I think he's got several Power 5 offers: Oregon, Arizona, Notre Dame, obviously. But On3 just ranked him this week. None of the other websites have him ranked yet. So again, not this household name just yet. But here's what is a factor in making him really interesting. He's a 6'1", 170-pound cornerback from Phoenix Brophy Prep, which is the same high school that produced Ben Morrison. So when Morrison was a senior in high school, Thomas was a freshman, and Thomas was just at Notre Dame this past weekend, and he was able to connect with Ben Morrison. They took a picture together, during, I think it was actually inside Notre Dame Stadium, if my memory serves me correct. So I think that kind of is a really interesting fact here when you think about how good Morrison's freshman season was. I think he made every single freshman All-American list. And this is someone who Thomas knows. He told me he looks up to him. He's like a big brother. So, and then you look at the measurables. I think Morrison, was listed at 6 foot, 170 pounds coming out of high school. And in that picture together, Thomas does look a smidge taller than Morrison. So, a Notre Dame source told me over the weekend, like, hey, we definitely think this guy is coming to Notre Dame. So, looks pretty good early on here for the Irish. Again, it's early. He's just finishing up his sophomore year of high school, but the Morrison connection is big time. And then just the 4 for 40 pitch from the Notre Dame staff to Thomas, definitely hit at home and is something that he's really liking. So this will be Notre Dame doesn't have a 2025 commitment yet, but he will be one to keep an eye on moving forward.
Okay, so keep that name in mind, Cree Thomas. I want to ask you about unlimited official visits, which is now reality. And I saw a former Notre Dame player that's in the media tweet out this week when this happened, oh, what can go wrong? As a dumb guy in terms of recruiting, nothing bad comes to mind right away. If a player wants to see 7 schools and if he can have 7 official visits, to me, why not? Now, you follow this on a daily basis. What is the good? What is the bad of unlimited official visits?
Marcus Freeman was asked about this, and I don't. Well, I thought he kind of did answer it a little bit, and I don't have the quote in front of me, but he said something to the effect of, all we care about is the guys, because they only get 1 to Notre Dame. So they get unlimited official visits to Notre Dame. So from the individual school aspect, it doesn't really change anything. If anything, it's like, all right, easier to get a guy on campus for an official visit because, so let's say Justin Scott, for an example, if he only has 5 official visits, and Darren, I don't remember when this rule goes into effect. It might be this summer. So the guys in July. So the guys wanted to take April to June official visits, and Notre Dame has pretty much all of their visits during this period, the OVs at least, in June. So, but yeah, if Justin Scott has 5 official visits and he's like, Notre Dame's too close to home, I'm not going to waste one of my 5 official visits on a place I can easily drive to. Now he can take that official. So I think that's kind of the good of it. But the bad, in my eyes, is recruits just wasting these schools' time. They get unlimited official visits. I'm going to go take an OV to a school that maybe I don't care a ton about, but I've always wanted to go out to this place and might as well go check it out. I think at the end of the day, I think it's going to create a lot more recruiting headlines because a recruit taking an official visit is a big deal. So if you have, if the amount of official visits increases tenfold, I think that's going to create a lot of headlines. But then I think it's going to end up being a situation where official visits are a little bit more watered down. Maybe, oh, so and so is taking this official visit. My mantra of follow the visits might get a little bit more, because it's like, well, they're just officially visiting 10 schools. I mean, maybe it's not that big of a deal that he's choosing Notre Dame for one of his. So all in all, I think it's going to have to be remain to be seen, like what the impact of this is, because it's just too early to tell. But I think there's some good and there's some bad, which is basically every new ruling from the NCAA. There's going to be some good and some bad with it all.